ultra-fast boxing knockouts to YouTube stars tainting the sacred name of a sport. Here's the most overhyped events in sports history. To many, sports events are an event like no other, unmatched. They bring massive amounts of people together to socialize, have a good time, eat some good food, maybe drink a few cold ones, all while enjoying a game of sports. Whether it be football, basketball, boxing, or tennis, one thing remains the same: the hype is everything. But sometimes the sporting event can fail to live up to the hype, and sports fans are left disappointed, bitter, and often out of pocket. Out of all the sports out there, boxing relies on its hype the most. The trash talk between fighters is one of the most entertaining parts of the build-up. Months before they even get in the ring together, the fighters will start to verbally bash each other in interviews, at press conferences, and often face-to-face, while attending another boxing bout. By the end of this back and forth, quite often a full-on feud has been ignited, sometimes even an intense hatred for one another, which, of course, makes for one hell of a fight. Mike Tyson is one of the truly great boxers of all time. To many avid boxing fans, he is regarded as the greatest boxer to have ever lived. In his prime, Tyson was an anomaly. His brute knockout power was matched with a speed that heavyweights typically don't possess. This made him a true boxing spectacular, and perhaps the most exciting fighter the sport had seen since Muhammad Ali. His trash talk was infamous for its shock and awe and its savage brutality. He was known to get extremely personal and would often bring his opponent's family into the dialogue, spitting out threats like, "I wish one of you guys had children so I could kick them in their head and stomp on their testicles," and "I'll put your mother in a straitjacket." With verbal tirades like these, it's easy to see why a feud could start, and a pay-per-view boxing event could sell out. While Tyson's knockout power was a big factor to his superstardom, it was sometimes considered a downside too. 5 of Tyson's impressive 44 knockout wins were obtained in less than a minute, and one fight in particular will forever go down as one of the most overhyped events in sports history. After coming out of retirement, Tyson was 3 fights into a comeback. When he squared off against Lou Savarese in Glasgow, Scotland, the bell rang and Tyson charged forward, knocking Savarese down with a left hook. Savarese got back to his feet and Tyson charged straight back over and unleashed a furious assault on Savarese. At a mere 26 seconds in, referee John Coyle attempted to step between the fighters, but Tyson continued to slug away at Savarese, sending Coyle to the floor in the process. At 38 seconds in, the fight was stopped and Tyson was awarded the technical knockout. Although he took some solid hits, Savarese was still standing and ready for more. This marked Tyson's second shortest fight to date and the biggest letdown of his career. Boxing isn't the only fighting sport that can have serious letdowns. Let's step out of the ropes and into the cage for James Toney versus Randy Couture. On Sunday, August 29, 2010, boxing met MMA at UFC 118. James Toney was once one of boxing's biggest names. With a phenomenal amount of power behind his punches, he fought his way through a mix of weight classes, including middleweight and heavyweight, and proved himself as a force to be reckoned with by the end of his run in 2017. He had an impressive 47 knockouts to his name, but unfortunately for him, Randy Couture was not one of them. After months of trash talk and repeated challenges to UFC legend Randy Couture, Couture finally took the bait and the two met in the UFC octagon. But disappointingly, the hyped-up fight was over nearly as quickly as it began. The fight started and Couture played it smart, wisely choosing not to stand with the powerful Toney. Instead, he shot in and took Toney straight to the ground. On the ground, Toney couldn't use his biggest assets, his hands. Couture's background is heavy in wrestling and grappling, and he is considered one of the best of all time. So Couture played to his strengths and locked in a choke. Toney held in there for a good few minutes, but he failed to fight back. He had zero ground game and was totally dominated on the floor by Couture. At 3 minutes and 19 seconds into round 1, Toney called it a day and tapped out. While some were happy to see Couture shut down Toney's loud mouth, others felt completely disappointed, hoping the fight would have been a little more competitive, and the two would slug it out and exchange some heavy blows. But that's the risk with fighting events. You never know what you're going to get. For a reliable sports event, maybe it's best to stick to football. Each side has a number of players, all ready to give you the game of their life. And if one of those players gets hurt, another player is sat on the bench ready and eager to take over and have their moment. The same can't be said for NBA All-Stars. Every February, the All-Star Game basketball exhibition is hosted by the National Basketball Association. It consists of athletes chosen to be the best at their positions who belong to a team in a league or region. As exciting as this sounds, it can often be pretty dull. These guys are the best of the best, so they literally have nothing to prove. While many stars take it seriously, a great deal of them see it as a day off from their normal schedule, and a chance to mingle with celebrities while sitting on the bench. The athletes typically play no defense, and truthfully, this can make for a pretty boring game. Speaking of boring, let's talk about the PGA Tour. Golf is a beloved sport by many, but if you're into people beating on each other in the ring, and guys charging at each other on a field, golf might not be your thing. The PGA Tour showcases the best of the best in the world of golf, and runs for a whopping 11 months. So golf really is the retired man's sport. On the PGA Tour, professional golfers take around 10 minutes per hole, and this averages out between 3 and 4 hours for an 18-hole round. And putting can often drag out longer and increase this time significantly. So if you're a massive sports fan, you probably won't get the thrill you're looking for here, and will most likely find the PGA Tour way overhyped. Before we close out, let's return to the ring for an honorable mention, or should we say dishonorable mention. Over the last few years, the world of boxing has crossed over into the land of social media. The strength in numbers that some of these influencers have is unlike anything any boxer has had in the past. And with such numbers comes the opportunity to make money. And boxing promoters all over the world have jumped at the chance. On February 26, 2023, YouTube superstar Jake Paul met reality TV star Tommy Fury in the ring at the Diriyah Arena in Saudi Arabia. After climbing the ranks in boxing, Paul called out Fury, the brother of former heavyweight champion Tyson Fury, and challenged him to a fight. Fury accepted and backed out on 2 separate occasions before the two finally met. After months of trash talk and a heated press conference, the fight happened. Both men claimed they would knock the other out, but the fight ended up going the full 8 rounds, and Fury won by split decision. Neither man showed any true skill in the ring, and they clinched more than a newborn baby does with its mother. Fury threw a lot of combinations, but most failed to land, and Paul scored himself 1 knockdown, which, if you look closely, looks more like a slip. Despite all of the money it made in pay-per-view sales, the fight was a total letdown, and true fans of the sport called it an embarrassment, and have declared it the end of boxing. So, from ultra-fast boxing knockouts to YouTube stars tainting the sacred name of a sport, this was the most overhyped events in sports history.